This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are talking about some records that have been broken in the Major League Baseball, as well as some college football and the NFL. We're first going to talk about Shohei Ohtani and the 50-50 and how really crazy that truly is. Then we're going to talk about the Browns and the struggle they are on and what could be a continued struggle throughout the rest of the season. All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben. That's Josh, and if I sound a little stuffy over the airwaves, as we used to say, we can say the video now, but I've been under the weather for the last few days, so being a teacher under the weather means basically it takes you about 3 times as long to get better because you're just around germs all day. But no, it's been a great weekend of sports, some crazy news happening even today as we were like before recording this, so we'll touch on a lot of this stuff. But Josh, how was your weekend? And did you get a chance to watch some football?
I watched some of the college football on Saturday, but even before that, just what a heck of a week it was for baseball in Cleveland.
Oh,
Starting off with our single A Lake County Captains winning the Midwest League Championship. So hopefully a lot of future Tribe All-Stars on that team.
No,
Then
remember they trade them. Remember they trade them. Remember they don't make it all the way up. It's like the Reds, right? Remember half of them
most of them can make it up and then they get traded after they become superstars.
True. That's right. Yes.
We don't trade prospects, Ben. We trade superstars because the prospects are going to be just as good.
Yeah, just as good.
Just as good. Wink, wink. But yeah, after that, then the big league team clinched a playoff spot. They clinched the division and they clinched the first round bye, all leading up to this point, and clinched the Ohio Cup.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, you know what? It probably didn't play that big of a role into it, but Reds fired their manager during this series as well.
Yeah, like dude, this season is so messed up, dude. Like just like do I feel like he deserved to be fired? Yes. When you go from what was it last year, they were just at 500 or just over 500, somewhere around there. And you had all the talent. I mean, you even talked about it, Josh, at the beginning of the year. Like this Reds team has a lot of talent. If they do the right thing, this team could be a playoff team. And yeah, and I know he's going to use injuries as the reason why. It's like, dude, but you've been there 6 years, and this has been the case of you. Like you have one good year, and then the next year it's like back to, under 500 and struggling. And when you have this much young talent, and I know McLean didn't play this year, Carson Stram really didn't play this year, but you had Hunter Green, your ace. But again, they were so banged up that it's hard for me to like. Again, it goes against what I just said, but it's hard for me to go like, is it all his fault? But at the end of the day, it's like you have to put the players in the best way to do it. Maybe he got the short end of the straw, but at the end of the day, I think all of Reds fans really wanted a change. I think, to be honest, and I think there's a lot of great names that have been shouted out that would I think be great for a Reds team. I think David Ross would be a great fit, a former Red, a guy who knows Cincinnati, and that's the thing I think is important. And I think, it's the same thing with Cleveland. Like you have to understand the city, right? Like and what the fan base is. In Cleveland you have to understand that, and in Cincinnati. And I think for me it's like bring someone in that can get this team not just to like, I love Dusty Baker, but it's like he got to the team in the playoffs and it was like they couldn't do anything else. Like I just want one playoff win. Like honestly, if we get a playoff win, I'll say it as an achievement of the year because it just hasn't happened for the Reds in a very long time. And so, yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, but look at De La Cruz's season. I mean, he didn't have, obviously his numbers don't look amazing, but if you look at the stolen bases, the home runs, he's the first shortstop to have a 25, like 65 stolen base season, which is crazy. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, there's a lot to look forward to as a Reds, and I hope we can beat Cleveland next year, and that's the hope.
Yeah. Cleveland can still, there's still time, depending on what they do against Houston, to also clinch that number 1 seed, take it from New York. And Jose Ramirez needs, I think, 3 home runs to clinch a 40-40 season, probably the quietest one of all time it'll end up being.
Yeah.
But even cooler than 40-40 is 50-50. And Mr. Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers accomplished that not too long after we recorded our last episode.
Literally, it was like a day. I think it was like the day of or next day.
In the most dominating fashion I think he could have done it in.
It was the Shohei way. It was a Shohei way. It was four. It was 6 for 6,
Six for
three
six,
home
three
runs,
home runs, 10
10
RBIs,
RBIs,
two
two stolen
steals.
bases. Yep,
They
a
scored 20
double.
runs. They clinched their playoff spot. Just incredible,
Look,
incredible performance.
you can't tell me
Added,
anymore. You can't tell me
yeah,
anymore that this guy is not the best in baseball. You can't. You can't.
I know it's hard, man, because you look at like Judge's hitting, and
No,
then it's like, okay, well, even if Judge was a better hitter, next year Shohei is going to be back on the mound throwing 100, and then
dude.
it's not even a conversation
But even
again.
if you took his pitching out of it, what this guy does is just like Judge is not like, I feel like with Judge it's like there's sparks of it, because remember he went like in August he went like 12 days, 13 days without a home run, right?
Very long time.
But you never see Otani do that. It's like when he's out there he's either hitting doubles, home runs, stealing bases, driving in runs. uh to me Shohei Otani is what every kid creating a player on MLB The Show wants their player to be. And
Mhm.
that's truly what he is. It's a kid's dream, and the coolest thing is that he's not American. And I know that sounds crazy as an American to say, but it's so cool to see someone not from Dominican Republic, not from Cuba, but someone from Japan saying, "We also play baseball. We do it a little differently, but you know what? We do it pretty dang well." And so Shohei Otani, like, if you're an Angels fan, how much are you just like? How much do you just hate the fact that like you missed your opportunity with Mike Trout and Shohei Otani? Like, I can't imagine.
Even still, most of that opportunity, I mean, all the jokes were Shohei Ohtani goes, home run double, throws 7 shutout innings, and Mike Trout, goes 3 for 4, almost hits the cycle, and the Angels still lose like
Yeah.
4-3 or something like that. Because they're the only ones doing anything on that roster. But yeah, I'd be sick too, because I know they definitely had the money to pay him, but ultimately, I mean, Shohei wants to win. He's a winner
Yeah.
and wants to go and get himself a ring. Other milestones to keep an eye on, Ben. I don't know how much this has ever happened, but Tarek Skubal from Detroit and Chris Sale from the Atlanta Braves both could win the pitching triple crown in their leagues.
That's crazy.
Skubal in the American and Sale in the
Also,
National as of right now.
If Paul Skeens had a full season, he might be up there too.
He might.
If he would have had a whole season, because Paul Skeens is freaking unreal, dude. That guy just made the Reds look like chopped liver.
How close these guys are is actually insane too. So Sale has a 238 ERA, Skubal has 239. Skubal has 228 strikeouts, Sale has
And both
225.
lefties.
Both lefties, and both have 18 wins right now.
Also,
Like they're
that slider by
so
Chris Sale, how do you hit that thing as a righty? Like, it's impossible. That thing bends so far into your knees, like there's no way. Like, I've hit against a lefty before that had a nasty curveball, and it's impossible to under see it because it comes from a weird angle, and you're trying to catch it every time.
yeah. One other very crazy thing going on in the American League wild card race right now is Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, and Seattle are all within 2 games right now, and Baltimore's the only one that's clinched. So there's two more of those four that are going to have a shot here.
Yeah,
And
it
yeah, just 2 games basically is what separates them.
it is wild. And I saw that Baltimore gave Holiday a it was like bird water because he can't drink because he's under 21. So that was kind of funny. But
I
also
saw the I saw
but
the
it also
Brewers
it's
do that
really
with
funny
Cheerio.
though. It is really funny though because like in Europe, these dudes have been drinking since they were like 15, and so like everyone is at that age, which is just funny to me. But um no, the other interesting thing about baseball before we move to football, we all saw the letter by the owner of the Oakland A's, and I put on our story today, like where he said I tried, and I said, "No, you didn't, you cheapskate," and it's so true. Like I've seen so many interviews or so many news anchors like crying on air from Oakland, and like
Mhm.
I get it. It's and a lot of them said like I get it. It's a big bureaucratic city, but like you didn't try. You have to spend money, and you live in California. Just deal with it.
Mhm.
But I just feel so bad for the Oakland fans, man. Like it, my heart breaks because it's like, as someone who we both are Browns fans, obviously we weren't alive when this happened, but when the Browns left, but like I could still feel then what the Browns felt. And yeah, that for the owner to come out and say what he did, like say what he said, like dude, you haven't been prevalent in the game for so long. You don't show up, you don't support the team really. And but yeah, when they go to Las Vegas, you're there to do interviews. And so yeah, I just want to get your thoughts because I just thought that was just like, I felt like a really pathetic way to like say sorry and
Yeah,
to move on.
it's like every fan of a small market baseball team kind of feels that too. Like, no, you didn't try, you didn't spend any money, you didn't do anything to, get fans excited or anything like that. You just really just tried to pocket as much money as you could for yourself and put out the cheapest team that you could. And I mean, to the A's credit this year, I mean, the White Sox ended up being way worse than what anybody could have imagined baseball team to be, but we expected the A's to kind of be like that too. And Brent Rooker had one of the quietest seasons this year, hitting 294, 38 home runs, 110 RBIs. He's going to make a heck of a future New York Yankee someday. But yeah, I feel you. I don't think that really was much trying on A's ownership right there, and maybe in the new location we'll see. I guess maybe a little bit more effort, a little bit more trying.
Now,
We'll see if more
yeah.
fans and more money leads to more effort, and if that's all it was. But
I do know
yeah,
that
I
the
don't
the
buy it.
Warriors owner is still like, even though there's plans to move to Las Vegas, there's the Warriors owner is like supposedly wanting to buy the team and saying I want to keep them in Oakland no matter what. Um,
Huh?
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, the small market thing is frustrating because a lot of these owners now, the Reds and the Guardians owner is definitely not. They're both not rich, like in owner standpoint. Like both the Guardians and Reds owners are barely worth over. I think it's
Oh, we
barely
got one of the
over.
richest owners in baseball.
Do you? Okay. Well, then I take that back. I know the Reds don't. Reds, I think they're worth like 600 million. So it's not like they're like wealthy, wealthy. I know that sounds crazy when I say
Yeah,
600 million, but in owners'
yeah,
terms. So like that makes sense as a Reds fan. Like I get it. He doesn't have all the wealth to just be bouncing around, but um I just yeah, small market teams, man. It's hard, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you bought the team, like you should invest into it. At least that's my
yeah,
thoughts.
yeah. I agree with you, man. So yeah, that's the baseball chat. Uh, moving over to football, a lot. Not a whole lot of excitement in the Ohio pro football right now, whether you want to look at the Bengals and
Oh
the 0-3
goodness,
start
Bengals
over
are
there.
bad, dude. That defense is bad. That defense is real bad.
It's real bad. And if you want to
And they lost
see an
Trent Brown
even,
for the year, by the way. Just found
oh,
that out.
that does hurt. But if you want to see even worse offense, look no further
Oh
than
yeah, like
the team
Cleveland,
in
baby.
Northeast Ohio.
Oh yeah, we are known for a terrible offense. That's what we're pretty much known for now.
And this goes past Deshaun
This is
Watson,
not
Ben.
like, and I hate when people are like, it's Deshaun. This is not just Deshaun's fault anymore because poor Deshaun has like no time to do anything, like at all.
I'm going to read you some stats that show how bad this offense is. So we are dead last in the league in yards per pass attempt.
Oh sweet.
That should shock nobody since Deshaun's not taking any shots downfield and mostly attempting screen passes. But as you just said, maybe that has a lot to do with the personnel that we got over here. We are averaging 4.3 yards per carry. That puts us like right in the middle of the pack there. We're dead last in third down conversion
Oh
rate.
sweet, awesome.
Yeah. And I think that we are near the bottom for first downs. I'm going to go ahead and
Oh
double check
cool,
that right now.
awesome.
Oh, we are actually 27th, it looks like, in
Oh
first
sorry, we're not
downs,
last, but still close.
but still very, very close to the bottom. Yeah. And let me check the scoring offense stats right here, too, because I know that we are awful in that
Bad.
category, too. So, scoring offense, we are loading it up here. Yeah, we're not dead last there, but we are in the high 20s there for sure, averaging
Oh nice.
16.7 points
Oh yeah,
compared to
that's gonna win you a
Buffalo,
lot of
who's
games.
first with 37.3.
It's gonna win us a lot of games. Score that much. Dude, goodness gracious.
Yeah, we were pretty confident in our ability to be able to defeat the Giants, Ben. But after
I guess Callahan was bigger of an X factor than we thought.
perhaps, I mean, I'm looking around and I know missing Nick Chubb is a big deal, but Njoku's still here, Cooper's still here, Elijah Moore's still here. You added Jerry Judy. This offensive line has a lot of the same members from last year's team.
Jones, Juwan Jones, I don't know what happened to him over the offseason.
Yeah, he
He's
is
like a
he has
whole
regressed.
he has, and I don't know if it's the injury and it's just he's still But like, remember this time last year, DeJuan Jones was like one of the best tackles in football.
He was looking like one of the best fourth round picks or whatever he was. Like another diamond in the rough, another steal by the front office, being able to cash on these third and
And
fourth rounders
I will be
since we
honest,
didn't have firsts.
he still is, I think, got that potential. I just think that the injury set him back, and then he doesn't. I don't know if his work ethic has really caught up with what he needs to do, at least in my mind. And then Jack Conklin's basically he's just a shell. Conklin's just a shell now. Like I really don't like him and Jedrick Wills. Same thing. Wills is basically a shell of what he was. I just, bro, like,
Unfortunately.
but Tonio's the only one that's like consistently in the starting lineup.
Yeah. And defensively, I mean, the defense is still good. It's just not at that elite level that you can count on it to win you games. It's keeping them in games, but it's not good enough to go out and like
And
outright win you games.
Garrett's just banged up, man. He just is banged up.
Yeah. Yeah. We have gotten to go against back-to-back weeks now some of the worst quarterbacks in the league with Trevor and then Daniel Jones. And now this week we get to go against Gardner Minshew and the Raiders, or maybe Aiden O'Connell, because I know both of them played in the game last week. Either way, though, none of those guys are going to scare most teams, but I'm shaking in my boots, Ben.
uh,
This Raiders team has gotten a win over the Baltimore Ravens. They
yeah,
got close to well, not close. They actually just lost to the Panthers and Andy Dalton. Who would have imagined Andy Dalton,
dude,
only
Andy
quarterback
Dalton,
this year
man.
with 300 yards and three
He's
touchdowns.
him and Donald Darnold up there in Minneapolis, man. Those two guys are just slinging the ball around. They're looking like the true first round picks. Yeah, I let me ask you if this is a bold statement. Would it be bold for me to say that if the Browns start like 1-6, Stefanski is maybe on his way out? Is that too bold to say?
I'm going to say too bold. This guy, I mean,
No, no, but my
Steph,
question is though, but like where do we like we've talked about this before, where do we decide to draw the line? Because ultimately it goes back to the head coach.
yeah.
And
And 1-6
where
is
do
looking
we
really realistic.
and
After
where do we draw this line and going like do we given you time? You actually have the best roster you've had on paper, and yet this is what you're
you got
showing
your
for it.
quarterback fully
Yeah.
healthy, fully like, in the system,
So
plenty
my
of
question
reps,
is, do they trade for Bryce Young? I've heard rumblings. Do they trade for Bryce Young? I would hate it.
I
Or
would hate that. They ain't gonna fix
if they
anything.
go 1-6, do we just go, you know what? Let's just say screw the season. Let's go out and get a quarterback in the draft. You know?
I think next year we get a first round pick, right?
Yeah, we finally
Finally,
do. Yeah.
we'd have the options of Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, Shador Sanders,
Oh, I don't need Shadur Sanders in Cleveland. That would just be a nightmare for all
and
of
then
us.
after we fire Stefanski, Dion can be our head coach.
Oh,
Ben
shut up. No. Oh, that'd be
can fail his way up to the
I might
top.
truly stop watching the NFL at that point.
No,
Uh
1-6 though could be pretty realistic because after the Raiders, they got Washington, Philadelphia,
and Washington's
Cincinnati,
looking good.
Baltimore, Chargers.
Washington looking good.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels had
J.O.
himself a
Daniels, dude,
nice
he's
game.
looking good, man. First
I'm
game since
excited.
1940 to have zero punts and zero turnovers.
Yeah, that Monday night game with
Yes.
Cincinnati. Yeah, I I
And
couldn't believe it.
the Washington punter has not punted since week 2 or week 1.
Hmm.
So in like 2 weeks he has not punted.
That's the kind of workload that Caleb Williams promised his punter.
Dude, Caleb Williams is looking rough. And did you
Yeah.
hear he didn't like want to take any of the advice from CJ Stroud? Like CJ Stroud came up to him and was like, "Hey man, just like look at the film, like just keep grinding." And he's like, "Why do I need to get advice from him?" And I'm like, "Dude, because you suck. Like that's why you need advice from the guy who's like actually talented right now."
Yeah, I don't really know what was said. And when I watched that clip, I didn't really think much of it. But if I'm Caleb, I'm just like CJ's been in the league 1 year longer than me. But
Yeah, but he's also more successful than I am. That's what also I would have to say myself in the mirror.
it's also true. Yeah, so Cleveland, Vegas, Ben. I know we got to make a pick because we're always obligated to, and always obligated to
Yes.
try to come up with a score and be wrong. Have we gotten?
No, not a single one.
No, we got the Jags right. I think we've each picked the Browns to win all three of these games.
Yes, we have because we're trying to be positive, Josh. We're trying to be good
Well,
fans.
I'm rocking the boat and saying we are not going to beat the Raiders.
Oh, I'm also rocking the boat and say we're not.
You had
I
to do
don't.
it with me.
I mean, listen. I have zero faith in this team right now. Like, and that's by the way, that's a Browns fan saying I have zero faith. That's like a rare thing that I say, but I don't see this team winning this game. I just don't. Like, if you can't beat the Giants, then
4:25 kickoff at Vegas.
yeah, I'm gonna say that the Browns lose 28-10.
That bad?
I don't see this team scoring, dude. Like,
I
I
know.
just don't
I
see
don't know
this
how
team
we're gonna
score.
score.
You have Max Crosby coming at Watson all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our offense is gonna be in trouble for
Tell
sure.
me
But
that that
we gotta
score is
score
not crazy.
something.
That score is not crazy. That is realistic with what the
See,
Browns are
Andy
doing.
Dalton just put 36 up on these guys, though.
Yeah. Uh-huh. At least his offensive line can block.
Can they? How much better is Carolina's offensive line than ours?
Just stat wise, a little bit better. We gave up 8 sacks to the Giants.
Yeah, that
To
shouldn't
the
happen.
Giants.
Oh, I'm gonna call a little closer of a score. I'm gonna give Vegas 24, and I'm gonna give us 16.
Look at you, Mr. Positive. Love it. Love it.
Still lost at the end of the day, but
True.
yeah.
True.
All
Mm.
right. Well, if you don't have anything else
No,
to
I
add
don't.
to NFL, we can move on to the college scene, and there were a lot of big matchups like we discussed last week to keep an eye on. Um, Kicking it off, I'll just say with the Tennessee Oklahoma game, since I think that was the big one in the evening. I thought Tennessee was going to come out and hang 50, but turns out Oklahoma's defense is just that good.
Oklahoma just has
Jackson,
a quarterback problem. That's what
they
Oklahoma
do.
has. They have a
Jackson
quarterback problem.
Arnold benched and also not starting this next week. They're going
Yes.
with that backup Hawkins, I think his
Who
name
also
is.
about got his head taken off when he dove in the end zone. He got helicoptered.
Yeah.
It's like spun halfway around the circle.
But Ben, we've been watching college football for a very long
Yeah.
time, and Oklahoma has always been a top five offense, I
Yeah.
think, as long as I've been alive. Who would have thought that we would have lived to see the day where they struggle to score 20, but their defense is elite. I'll
Yeah,
call it elite.
I think it's a combination though. I think that we're seeing that Tennessee is not as good offensively as we thought they were. I think a part of it is a combination thing, whereas I think Tennessee hadn't really played anyone. So they looked like their offense was really good. And I think it brought them down to a little bit more human level. And I think you're seeing a little bit of even on each side. You know, I think you're seeing a better defense from Oklahoma, and probably maybe the offense is not as good at Tennessee. At least that's my opinion.
Maybe. Tennessee rushed for 151 this one, and Nico passed for 194. He also fumbled twice. This is also their first conference game of the year at night at Oklahoma
Yeah.
for a young quarterback. So I think there's a couple factors right there. But yeah, it could be a little bit of both. But I still think Tennessee coming out of this is still one of the most complete teams in football. But yeah, Oklahoma, I think I learned more about them in this game. That defense is definitely legit, and it's a darn shame that it looks like quarterback's going to hold him back this year.
Yeah. I don't think Oklahoma, I just don't think they're going to have it to really be competitive this year. Offensively at least.
Yeah. Another game that I think we learned a lot about from both teams, Michigan and USC, Ben.
Michigan can't throw the ball.
Michigan cannot, and they didn't really try that much. Alex Orji finished with
And
32 passing yards this game, and that was enough to beat Lincoln Riley's USC Trojans.
I will say this. Michigan will not win big games this year. Like, I don't think this USC game is considered a huge game. I mean, like, key games, like I just saw like what Ohio State did to Marshall, like how fast they scored. If you can't throw the ball and you get behind, you know this as well as I do in any team. If you can't throw the ball, you're screwed. Look at Navy, Army. Like when they get behind, what happens? They're just like, okay, here we go. Dude, watching Michigan's offense, like Also, the fact that Donovan Edwards is like not running back one anymore, which is funny considering he's on the cover of a video game and he's not even running back one anymore. Um,
Another big takeaway, yeah.
but also the fact that like they have to figure out a passing game, man. You have to have something. It doesn't have to be great, but you have to have something. Because it didn't even look good when they did throw the ball, and that's the problem. And again, that just shows you that USC's defense that we thought was good is really just back to the same old USC defense that just can't stop anyone when they try.
Yeah, even still, like, I think holding Michigan under 30, they've held LSU under 30. It's
Yeah,
it's baby
yeah,
steps. It's
but
baby steps.
I
It's
get it. But when
it's
you
not
know,
where it needs to be to win a national
my
championship or
thing
be a
is though
serious
this.
playoff contender, but
My thing is this though. When you know the team is just going to run the ball and you still can't stop it, that's that's where it's like that's the test that you have, right? Put 8 dudes in the box, put 9 dudes in the box, and be like, beat us. And I don't feel like they did that. And if they did, it was not necessarily, I could tell it was relevant there at all.
and as we saw in the Texas game, I mean, Michigan obviously still wants to be a run first team and dominate the line of scrimmage, but against Texas, they couldn't do that. So this is a lighter version of last year's team. And they had JJ McCarthy last year and could throw it if they needed to. But right now, it looks like if they need to rely on that pass game, they're going to be screwed. But as far
Like
as big games
I'm
go,
thinking about Iowa. You imagine what that Iowa score is going to be like versus Michigan and Iowa?
Michigan and Iowa don't play this year,
No,
unfortunately.
what I'm saying though is like if there was a game between Iowa and Michigan, can you imagine the low
Oh,
scoring game? It'd be like 6-3. There'd be no passing. It would just be running the ball nonstop.
it's a good shot, but I was going to go ahead and give you Michigan's big games, I guess, the rest of the year. So Minnesota and Washington next, both
Both
unranked, but then
wins.
they
Both will
go
be wins.
at Illinois, they do host Oregon, and they go to Ohio State. So those are the top 25 matchups right there.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Right now, it looks like Indiana versus Ohio State for the Big Ten championship game is looking like what it's going to be.
Indiana is 4-0 right now.
Dude,
They
Indiana's.
might find
You
themselves
know
in this bowl.
they're one of 5 teams to have a top 5 offense and defense. Did you know that?
I didn't know that
Indiana,
at IU.
Indiana
Hmm.
Hoosiers, who usually take their home read out picture when Ohio State visits, so they have a full stadium. Like that's the team we're talking about right now.
That's great. Yeah.
Wild.
So one of the other top 25 matchups was Utah at Oklahoma State, Ben.
Yeah.
No Cam Rising in this game, as it turns out. But it doesn't matter because Kyle Whittingham has one of the best systems and programs and cultures in all of college football. And no matter who he puts in, they're going to find a
It
way to
just
get
so
it
happened
done.
to be Zach Wilson's brother.
Yes, Isaac Wilson, who finished 17 of 29, 207 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. It's not going to blow anybody away, but Micah Bernard had 182 yards on the ground. Wilson also added 41 on the ground himself. And they held Ollie Gordon on the other side to just 42 yards
Dude,
rushing.
Ollie Gordon, Donovan Edwards, not the same running backs they were last year.
They're not. This Oklahoma State team, I've been hearing people say it is not good. The offensive line is not good. Ollie Gordon is not the same player he was last year, and they were one of the fakest top 25 teams in the poll. And maybe this proves that a little bit, but
Do you
still, like I feel pretty good about Utah going forward.
do you feel like that maybe Donovan Edwards and Ollie Gordon should have taken that like momentum they had last year and just went to the NFL? Like, is this the moment where you do tell guys to go to the NFL when it's like, obviously you can't tell what they're going to be like the next year, but it's like almost like, man, if you kind of had this idea of what they were going to be like, man, I would have just been like,
Yeah.
take the money and
Gordon, I
go.
don't think could have gone because this is his junior
Oh,
season.
that's true. Yeah, you're right.
But Edwards absolutely could have gone, and he could have ridden like maybe not the total yards that Blake Corum had, but the explosive plays and the big performances in big games.
Yeah.
But I respect it coming back for his senior year. Blake Corum came back for his senior year. I get the idea behind it, but
I'll tell you about
yeah,
running. I'll tell you about running backs that are explosive. Shall we mention about should we just briefly talk about Ohio State's running back situation?
let's talk about that because I was only gonna mention Illinois getting Nebraska after that, but yeah, we can talk Ohio State's performance.
What? Let me get your take as a non-Ohio State fan. When you watch Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson out there, how scary is it if you're thinking about being a defensive coordinator with those two guys in the backfield?
It already was going to be because there's running back duos that we've seen like Singleton and Allen over at Penn
Yeah.
State and Edwards and Corum at Michigan, as I just mentioned. But these are like literally two of the top
Explosive,
five
dude.
guys that have been all conference on their past teams, guys that would be running back one anywhere they went, pretty much. And they're both on the same team.
Dude, the stiff arms, like that one Judkins, his last touchdown run when he turned the corner. And by the way, number 9 for Marshall got stiff armed 3 times, twice by Judkins, once by Travion Henderson. Like at one point, do you just decide, you know what? I'm just not going to try anymore. I mean, Judkins on that 86-yard run, I mean, just it just was incredible. And Jeremiah Smith once again, like, dude, the dude's so fast. Like the dude, and like Emeka Ibuka, I don't know if you saw that touchdown. He takes a bubble screen and just runs at 70 yards. Like not like this Ohio State team was scoring so fast that in the first quarter they had 14 points on 8 plays,
Hmm.
and I think Marshall had like 20 some plays in the first quarter. Like to me, I think the defense did show a few things last week when they Tyleik Williams is not in there, the inside of the line is a little weaker and they tend to bend a little bit more. But outside of that, man, and outside the kicker kicking the ball out of bounds 3 times in a row, which I don't know how that's even possible. I thought Ohio State played what they needed to do, right? Like I think they put their foot to the pedal and said, like, come and try to beat us. Um, like I love what Joe Klatt said, what he's like, what does Chip Kelly do best? Is it on a week to week basis? He has a brand new set of plays that you've never seen before. And he said it makes defense coordinators' head throb because every week they got to plan for 6 more plays. Like every week it's just like more plays. So my guess for my question for you is, Josh, is like, do you think that this is going to be something that can be, stand in time throughout the year?
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, they haven't gotten tested. They've been playing a
Yeah, of
bunch of
course.
nobodies, but they're doing exactly what you'd
What we
want
say
to
we
see
should,
them
yeah.
do. And
Not what
speaking of
Oregon
teams,
did.
yeah, Texas has been doing exactly that. Ole Miss has been doing exactly that. Miami has been doing exactly that, and Ohio State has been doing exactly that. There's been some teams that have been some clunker games already, or some close calls, or in Notre Dame's case, lost one already. But Ohio
Which even looks
State's,
worse when Northern Illinois lost to Buffalo, which even looks worse
yeah,
now.
first one of their first times in the poll, yeah, and then that happens. Then Notre Dame 28-3 over Miami, Ohio. Yeah, would like to see a little bit of a higher score there, but yeah, Ohio State's doing exactly what they should, and I think they get their first Big Ten game this weekend against Michigan State. Is that correct?
Yes, a night game.
And Michigan State, I think, is undefeated also, or
Yeah,
one
yeah.
loss.
They have one loss. They're 3-1, I believe. And they also have one of the best young freshmen as well, Nick Marsh, who's a freaking beast on the outside.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see what the Buckeyes can do in that one. Uh, Speaking of freshmen too, that I just wanted to mention too, Illinois getting Nebraska on Friday. This one going to overtime. Looked like it was an exciting game from what I could hear and read. Luke Altmaier steals the show though. 21 to 27, 215 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Fighting Illini
Just
quarterback.
feels like Nebraska's the same old Nebraska. Can't close games out, the big ones, when it matters.
Mm, yeah, I mean, what's Nebraska like? They've been that team that just can't get the close ones right there. The best 3-9 team is what Compton says because all their losses are like by a single score or something like that.
They
All
haven't
their
won a game.
wins,
They haven't won a game as a ranked opponent, as a ranked team, and like it's like 20 games or something like that. It's some ridiculous number. Like it's just been a while since they've like beat a ranked opponent or something like that, which is just a wild number to me. But yeah,
yeah.
Rayola looks like Patrick Mahomes though, dude. When he plays, he looks like Patrick Mahomes when he's out there playing. At least in
He
my
didn't have a
opinion.
bad game. He had nearly 300 yards and
No,
three
he was fine.
touchdowns.
Yeah.
He just had the one pick. They won't get a chance to play a ranked opponent again until we'll see if Rutgers or IU can get into that
Yeah.
pool. They're both undefeated right now, and then Ohio State at the end of October. But yeah, Nebraska, we'll keep an eye on that, see how they do against some of these bigger teams that they got to play up and coming. But week 5, Ben, there's a lot of really solid top 25 matchups here.
Ooh,
Uh,
some score predictions coming our way.
Score predictions coming your way, and let's just kick it off with the one that all the nation's going to be watching. 7:30 p.m. Georgia at Alabama. Not an SEC championship matchup, a regular season matchup.
Yes. Uh, for me, this was a tough one. I've been thinking about it all day. I'm gonna lean Georgia here. Um, but I think it's gonna be tight, and I think it's gonna be a lot higher, more higher scoring than people think. I'm gonna go Georgia. I think Carson Beck's gonna have a bounce back game. I think Georgia's gonna have. I think they're gonna be a little more healthy. I think this game too. So I think I'm gonna give Georgia a little slight edge. I'm gonna go 27-24 Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia kind of had their clunker against Kentucky, and as we said a few weeks ago, Alabama a lot closer with South Florida until that fourth quarter, and then they eventually broke away. Uh, so I think both of them are gonna like definitely show up for this one, but I am leaning Georgia on the road a little bit. Uh, a 38-35 maybe we'll get,
Yeah, I
I'll
agree. I
guess.
think that.
But
Yeah, we're about the same. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, this could be Carson Beck's breakout game to like reassert himself as a legit Heisman candidate again. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's gonna be what I'm watching for in this one is that quarterback matchup. This could also be a chance for Jalen Milroe to assert himself into the Heisman uh, game too. He always seemed to show up in these big moments like this, these big games, which I mean could have made him a legit Heisman winner last year if he didn't have all the down games too. But
True.
yeah, Milroe Beck will be a heck of a matchup to watch for sure. Another top 25 matchup. We'll move over to the Big Ten. We've got Illinois at Penn State. Now, Vegas doesn't think this is going to be all that close. Penn State's a 19-point favorite right
Oh, I
now.
don't think it's that big. Oh, there's no way it's 90-point favorite. I don't think
19
so.
point at
No.
Penn State at night.
Still no.
Tough environment. Illinois
Yeah.
is coming off that nice win over Nebraska in overtime, but I'm kind of with you. If Penn State plays football as they can, this should be a definitely a two, maybe a three-score win. But Illinois can get gritty. They can make things ugly.
I'm going to surprise you here.
Okay.
I'm going to go Illinois walks into Penn Station. Not Penn State, Penn Station. That's a good one. I see this whole like sickness is just messing with my brain here. Um what do they even call their place? What is it?
Happy Valley,
Happy Valley. There we go. Happy Valley. And I'm going to say
State College,
yeah, State College. There, that's
Penn
close to what
State.
I was saying. Yeah, Penn Station. Uh, I'm gonna say Illinois comes out there with a win, game-winning field goal in overtime. I'm gonna go 37-34, Illinois.
I totally misread what you were saying when you talked about that
No,
that
I was saying it's.
point
I think
spread.
it's. No, I think it's gonna be closer than what people think.
Well, I also think it's going to be closer than 19. I just think Penn State's going to come out on top. I think it.
Don't you go with you, man? Go with
I
you.
will. I'll go ahead and say that Drew Aller and his running backs can get this one done. But 19 points, I probably would take the Illinois points here. But give me, I got to figure out what kind of score I want to give this one. Give me Penn State even 30, and give me Illinois 19
Oh yeah, it's a good score.
within
I
two
give you that.
scores.
I'll give you
Within
that.
two scores. I believe Illinois can be a decent football team this year, and I think that we'll learn a lot from this game. But yeah, definitely tough environment, and I think that's gonna ultimately be why Penn State wins. I can't see them losing a night game at home to a team that they're favored to beat, but you never know. Crazier things have happened in college football.
True.
Top 25 matchup in the Big 12, Ben. Oklahoma
Yes.
State and at Kansas State. And both of these teams are coming out in like wounded animal mode. Oklahoma State losing to Utah and
This
their
is easy
backup
for me.
quarterback.
This is
Kansas
easy for
State
me.
coming off losing to BYU. And the crazy thing about that Kansas State BYU game is Kansas State, I think, outgained BYU by over 120 yards
Also, there
and
was
still
a
was
lovely
lambasted.
lovely Twitter thing that we won't talk about on here, but if you
The
want to
beefy
go,
five-layer burrito.
yeah, if you want to go check
If
that
you
out,
know,
you
you
can
know.
go. If you know, you know. It's disgusting and disturbing.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't think this is not even. I don't. We don't even have to discuss it. It's going to be Kansas State winning. I'm going to go 42 to 22. 42 to 22. I just don't think Oklahoma State is good at all.
Me
At
neither.
all. So I'm going to say Kansas State wins by double digits easily.
Yeah. Kansas State can run the football as they did against BYU. They just uncharacteristically had some turnovers that really cost them in that one. And BYU also had like that nice either punt return or kick return for a touchdown too that
Yeah.
really helped them out. I just think a lot of things kind of went Kansas State's way and made the score a little more uglier than what it probably should have been. But I'm with you. I think Kansas State's going to run all over Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's probably going to get embarrassed, but I'll give Kansas State. I'll give Kansas State a 33 to how about a 33 to 15?
Okay. A little more fair than I am.
33 to 15, yeah, but I think that Kansas State's going to bounce back here on their home field and Oklahoma State's going to just continue to sink down and get exposed. That takes me to top 25 in the ACC.
Oh gosh.
Louisville at Notre Dame. I quotes because Notre Dame's all their other teams are in the ACC, but not the
I'm gonna
football team, Ben.
I want to make a bold statement here.
Bold
Notre
statement.
Notre Dame's losing this game.
They lost it last year, but it
And
was
I
at
just
Louisville,
and dude,
I think.
You lost to Northern Illinois. You've given me no chance to believe in you, no matter how good you played last week.
But wouldn't it be the most Marcus Freeman thing to come off of losing that game and then come in and just dominate a top 15 team
Yep,
as they
still don't
have
believe
against
him.
Clemson, as they
I'm
have against USC?
I'm gonna say Louisville wins this game. I'm gonna say 35-31. Louisville wins.
I'm gonna go with Notre Dame, Ben. I got to go against you on one of these games. Or we're going against each other on Penn State, Illinois, but I guess we'll go against each other on another one. I don't think it's going to be pretty though, because Notre Dame, as we've seen, doesn't have the offensive firepower that they usually have. So
Nope.
they're gonna have to make this one ugly. But this is a 3:30 game at their home field. They got to go ahead and get this. And I think Marcus Freeman will get his team up. Like I said, it's very Marcus Freeman like to lose on ranked to unranked teams and probably win some games you probably shouldn't. Ugly game. Notre Dame 24 to 17.
Mm,
I had one more game I think here that I sent you to, and that was the after dark game. Arizona at Utah. I think
Utah.
we've
That's
already
what I'm gonna
talked
say.
about Utah and the culture. I guess we'll find out again if Cam Rising's going to play or not. Maybe next year we'll get to see him play finally. We'll find another year of eligibility for him somehow. But Arizona, I think, has been a little disappointing so far, Ben. They had the two games that were probably close to what they should have been against like lower level teams. And Kansas State gets them 31-7 a couple Fridays ago. So they're out of the poll now, and they got to go to Utah at 10:15. The only way that I think this game ends up being close is because it's, that traditional Pac-12 after dark game that is now a Big 12 after dark game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Utah wins. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go 34-17 Utah.
34-17, that much of a
Yeah,
blowout.
I really after seeing them play against Kansas State, I just don't that offense is not the same as it was last year.
Yeah, Kansas State held this offense to 7. Like we would have thought that Noah Fifita and those guys would have been doing a lot more damage than that. I'm gonna check to see if I can find that box score against Kansas State just to see like how limited they got. Yeah, Fafita didn't even have a touchdown, had one pick in that one, and I think highly of Utah's defense as well. Uh, I'm just going to give Arizona a little bit more here, just because I don't know if Cam Rising's playing, and it's going to be a late night game. Uh, I don't know how explosive Utah's offense can be in this one, but I'll give Utah 27 and give me Arizona 20.
I like it. I like it. Should we give a prediction for the Ohio State Michigan State game just to see how many points you think Ohio State will score this week? I'm interested to
We can
hear
go ahead and do that.
because it's at Michigan State, so I'm just interested to see because it's their first road game of the year.
Okay. First road game of the year.
Yes.
So let me see here. Yeah, Ohio State at Michigan State, 7 o'clock. Ohio State right now is a 24-point favorite. Michigan State actually does have a loss. I must have missed
Okay.
that.
So my prediction score I predicted with some of my buddies is I'm going to say it's going to be 52 to I'm gonna go 13. 52 to 13.
Ohio State shattering that 48.5 over under all by himself, huh?
Yeah. I just think that this offense, dude, after last week, seeing how fast it goes, they don't need a ton of time and they'll go score.
Hmm.
I do think they'll score over 50. I think the defense is going to really try to keep Michigan State intact. So I'm going to say 13.
I'm gonna go with 45 for Ohio State,
Okay.
but I'm gonna go with only 14 for Michigan State.
Okay. So like two touchdowns, kind of like last week with Marshall.
Yeah, yeah, very similar final score.
Look at you. Look at you, the genius. But yeah, but one quick news before we move on to Heisman real quick that we did want to mention.
Yeah,
Um, about the news that broke today about the UNLV quarterback who was at Holy Cross last year. He transferred to UNLV, and supposedly they promised him about, I think it was like 100K
a
or
hundred
300,
thousand.
100,000, yeah, 100K to play for them, and he only received about 3,000. And supposedly the commitment will not be, they will not fulfill it. And he felt offended, and he decided to transfer, take a red shirt transfer, as well as the starting running back. We don't know the details with that one. This is my problem, Josh. And Josh, we have been saying this since day one when this was announced that this is what's going to start happening, where players are going to feel like they are not getting what they were promised, and then they're just going to quit on the team. And I don't know about you, this goes against every fiber of my bones. I don't care what money you're getting. To quit on your brothers after you started undefeated for the first time since like the 1980s, it's wild to me, man. It is wild to me how people can, like, you're a college student, you're getting your university degree paid for, and then you're getting money on top of that. And that's not enough for you. Again, I'm all for players getting paid for what they play and what they deserve. It's not like he was a top star in SEC school either. And so I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts because I was like riled up when I saw this and it bothered me.
I had a feeling that we were gonna have stories like this pop up a lot more
You were,
frequently
yeah.
once NIL started, especially because NIL isn't from the school. It's from
Yeah. Boosters.
collectives, it's from businesses, it's from fans. It's like all those kind of things. So the coaches can't really come out here and say, if you come play for us, we'll give you $100,000. Like allegedly is what happened in this case. It was guaranteed by the coaching staff, not by any collective or anything like that. So I guess what the UNLV collective thought that this dude was worth was significantly less, and that's what he ended up getting. So I can understand if you feel lied to in this case, or if you only came over here for the contract. It'd be like with your teaching job. If you
Yeah.
like agreed upon a certain amount of money, or were going expecting this amount of money, and then they like literally jip you 97% of what
Yeah.
they said that they're going to give you, you'd probably feel a certain type of way about it and quit.
Yeah.
Uh,
I get
but
that. I get it.
this is
But
we've also only heard, I think, one side. I don't think
yeah.
UNLV has made a statement on their side of what they believe happened here, but it sounds like the agent just kind of really screwed this kid and maybe was going into a situation where uh, things were being promised that really couldn't be promised. And so you hate to see it. I mean, UNLV's been one of the, I guess, I don't know if cute's the right word, but cool. I'll just go with cool. Cooler stories in college football because they are undefeated right now, and with the way that their schedule shakes up, they very well could have finished the season undefeated, maybe been able to be that G5 team to get into the college football playoff with how things get drawn up now. But this kid was apparently a big part of that, and I think you mentioned that their running back is also
Yeah.
following in his footsteps. So they're starting to lose their team, and it's just like, dang man, kids redshirting because they ain't making the NIL money that they either thought they should be getting, or maybe he thinks that because they're winning more games that he should be getting more. I don't know. There's a lot of I guess questions that need to get answered from this, but I think what we know bottom line is that he did not get the NIL money that he was expecting, and so he's leaving because of it.
Yeah.
So I this isn't even the first time that we've really seen this. We've seen it already with Jaden Rashada before
Yeah.
he even got to the school, getting out of a national letter of intent that he signed because he wasn't getting money that he apparently was expecting to get either. This is just, I think, the first one where it's like really happened during the season like this.
Yeah. It is wild, but again, it's the new age of football, man. It's the new age
Yep.
of football.
We're gonna
But
see a lot more like
anyways,
this.
We're going to move on to our Heisman and power rankings. Uh, the Let me see here. Oh, and I just found out UNLV is going to expect to name Hodge Malik Williams as a starting quarterback. He played 5 seasons at Campbell University in the FCS, and he threw for over 8,000 yards and 58 touchdowns. So it's not like he's got experience, which is, I guess, good for
Hmm.
them, I guess. Last week, our power rankings stayed the same. It was Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Miami for me, and for you, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Um, for me, I'm just going to keep it the same for me. I know that sounds very lame and terrible, but none of these teams like did anything to hurt their case. In my case, nothing, no one did anything that really bumped them up for me. So I'm going to keep mine the same. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to keep mine the same too. I mean, Texas rolled with Arch Manning again, and Jaden Blue rushing for 3 touchdowns, so I'm not going to drop them. Georgia was on a bye, so I'm not going to drop them. Ohio State crushed it, so I'm not going to drop them. Tennessee got like we just mentioned, a top 15 win on the road. I'm keeping them there, and Ole Miss continues to do exactly what they should against bad teams. So yeah, Ohio State 1, Georgia 2, Texas 3, Ole Miss 4, Tennessee 5. What I had last week, I'm going to keep it.
Love it. But I know there will be some changes this week. Um, and so I'm interested to hear. Last week, mine was Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, Jalen Milrow 3, Ashton Jeanty 4, Quinn Ewers 5. And for Josh, he had Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, Jackson Dart 3, Quinn Ewers 4, and Ashton Jeanty 5. Why don't you start with number 5 for you there, Josh?
I honestly don't know. I've been debating, Ben, like what path I should go here because Quinn Ewers for me was 4 before, but now that he's missed 2 games,
Yeah,
I got to drop him out. I don't.
true.
I think that's gonna. I think that's gonna keep him from being able to be the like a serious finalist from this point on. Why don't you start with 5?
Easy, done, no problem. Jackson Dart for me at 5. Quinn Ewers dropped. Jackson Dart moves up to number 5 for
Ah,
me.
dang it! I already had Jackson Dart in mind.
See, there's a guy that I have that if you would have listened, you probably could put it at 5.
Yeah, I just don't know if I want to do that yet. Throw Jalen
No,
Milrow there.
it's fine. You also have the Georgia quarterback as well,
I know, but why would I drop Carson Beck out and then put him back in after a
or
bye
half the
week?
Ohio State team. You could put anyone in there.
Half the Ohio State team. I was thinking about Judkins. He did come into my head. But I know once I do that, then Travion will be the one having big games, and then I'll have to drop him out too. You know what? Why don't we just go ahead with Jalen Milrow?
Look at you. Look at you
Jalen
following the
Milrow at
footsteps.
5. Jalen Milrow at 5 for me. Why
So you're
not?
saying then you're moving Ashton Jeanty up to 4. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So
Especially since once again, 11 carries, 127 yards, 11 and a half yards a carry performance. No reason to drop this kid out. Until, as long as he keeps doing stuff like this, he's gonna stay.
love it. So that's 4 for you. For me, 4 is going to be as well Ashton Jeanty. He's going to stay where he's at. Again, no need to drop him or anything. That's going to be the same for me.
And number 3, I had Jackson Dart the week before, and I'm keeping him there. Still leading the nation, I believe, in passing
Passing
yards. Yes,
yards.
he
Yep.
is. So I'm looking forward to getting to actually watch him play against some freaking good teams finally and see how this holds up. But yeah, Jackson Dart at 3.
For me at 3, it's going to go Jalen Milrow. It's going to stay at 3. I think he's going to put together a nice season. He's already put together a decent season. We'll see what he does against Georgia. That'll be the big test for him. But Jalen Milrow at 3. And number 2, I have a funny feeling we're both changing here at number 2. I
Are
have a
we?
feeling. I am, but it's up to you if you change.
Well, I'm sticking with Travis Hunter at 2. I think he had another awesome game, over 100 yards receiving, and I think he had the forced fumble to seal the deal against
Yeah.
Baylor on defense. So continuing to be an elite two-way player. So I'm going to keep him at 2.
2 for me is going to be Cam Ward at
Okay.
2. Again, nothing against what he's done. It's the guy that's going number one that has
Yeah.
made a big impact. And so for me, number one is Travis Hunter. I mean, just like what I think it was Joe Klatt said, like, how can you not have this guy at least in your top three? Um, Dude, what he's doing out there, like every game, man. And like, okay, I will say this: Colorado got very blessed in this last game. Like that Hail Mary, if that dude doesn't trip at the goal line, it's an interception, game
Hmm.
over. I don't think Colorado's as good as what the record is.
Me neither.
But Travis Hunter is the best player right now in football. I believe that. And so I put him at one.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Cam at one. He's leading the country in touchdown passes. He's second behind Dart in passing yards. He is, I believe, uh, fifth in yards per attempt, and continued to have another great game last week against, I think it was UCF.
Yeah.
But yeah, within time, I very well, or USF, excuse me, not UCF. Um, but yeah, within time, I might have to finally bump Travis up. I think what's keeping me from putting him at one is my perception of Colorado. I think that, I mean, it was great that we did see Jaden Daniels win a Heisman last year when his team only went 9-3. I'm thinking that Colorado's probably going to be more around the 5-7, 6-6 mark. And I'm wondering how much of an effect that will have on Travis's
Yeah.
Heisman
True.
status. So I'm keeping him at two for now. Just since I already had Cam at one and Travis at two, I got to really see something wild from one or the other to make a flip there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's those two, and then
Everyone else.
it's like everyone else, honestly.
Yeah.
As crazy as that is to say.
It's true. And it's funny because like Ohio State might be the best team and they don't even have a name on this list because they don't play enough, to be honest. Most of
They
their
don't play
players do not
enough
play
and they're
enough.
just like really sharing the load. Like
Yeah,
Judkins,
which is what championship teams should do,
Judkins and Henderson could probably be doing exactly what both of them are doing combined somewhere else, but they're sharing carries.
which I love. I love it. That is our power rankings and our Heisman watch list. Before we go, I do want to just mention if you guys didn't know, Woj from ESPN is leaving the sports reporter news desk to head to St. Bonaventure and be the general manager of men's basketball. According to him, he was tired. He was ready to have a change of pace. I mean, he's giving up like 7 million a year to do this job. But I guess, you used to say, Josh, like you have to do what you love. And I think he was at the point where I think he was tired of answering the phone at 1 a.m. when he's trying to sleep. And
Yeah,
I think he likes the idea of going to bed and waking up and having a normal day. And I think that means Brian Windhorst is probably going to take his place.
that's what they're saying. I think in
But
the basketball news landscape, it's
yeah,
definitely Shams, but at ESPN, probably gonna be Windhurst.
yeah. And so hats off to Woj. You've been a lot of part of our lives for the last, 8, 9 years. So hats off to you, your great career. And now you can go enjoy a very peaceful, calm job in the general manager's room of St. Bonaventure. So awesome for him. And yeah, that's the show this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. And if you've loved listening and watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That'll allow you to see everything that's going on. All of our updated playlists will be updated as well. I'm going to try to put a playlist together with all of our episodes so you can watch it from when Ben had no co-host and was just talking into a camera for 35 minutes, which was just awful now that I think about it.
Yeah,
And then when Josh joined as well. So you can go check all those out on YouTube. And then if you love listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a nice little 5-star rating, share with your friends and family. And yeah, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy this fall time that's around. Go get some, I don't know, hot chocolate. Some people drink pumpkin spice. I don't do that.
apple
But
cider. I'm an apple cider guy.
yeah, I'm a big, give me a nice chocolate chip cookie. Maybe get some hot chocolate. Mm, just delicious. And actually, you know what? A big bowl of chili. Just give me a big bowl of chili, and I'm
We're
set.
almost there. We're like 70 degrees all week and hopefully
Yeah,
down in 60s, 50s
there we go. That's the way it's got to
soon
be.
enough.
But anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend. And until next time, we'll see ya.